The next thing I would like to talk about is part of what I talked about in the last lesson. And it's about the selfing. It's about that in every experience you have, the selfing and the ego has a preference, something it wants or something it doesn't want. Now, when we get to the fourth fetter, that is about desire, all the things you want, and ill will, all the things you don't want, we're working with this in more depth, obviously. But in my experience, it's really important to have this awareness in your being right now. And it's what I call the joy of experiencing. Because with every single experience that you have, you can find the joy of experiencing. Now, the selfing and the ego does not want to do this exercise because it is dissolving the ego. The more you go in to the space where you have a joy of experiencing, the more the ego is dissolving. Because the ego always wants something else. The ego is never content, and the ego is never in the now. The ego is always in the future with all the things it's expecting is going to happen, or it's ruminating about the past with all the regrets that you have. So practicing the joy of experiencing it's basically impossible for the ego. And it's a great way for you to, like we talked about in the last lesson, when all the non-duality people and all the people that are further along in the Fetter work, where I said that you have the thought, you bang your toe or you walk into a door or something, you have the thought of I'm clumsy, and then you have the first thought you can make is thinking I'm so much more. Remember that? That one. When you're there, what I would like for you to exchange now with the thought of I'm so much more, I would like for you to change that awareness into a joy of experiencing. So yes, I'm saying when you bang your toe, find the joy of experiencing. Find the let's say you bang your toe. Go in, instead of just cussing and jumping around and being angry and I'm so clumsy and you're removing yourself from the situation. I would like for you to find the joy of experiencing. Find the joy of the pain in your toe. Feel how that the pain in the toe is not the same. Every single second, the pain is changing. It's not one pain. It's never one pain. The same when you have migraine or you have body pain or you are having a root canal or whatever is going on. Whatever painful that is happening, we assume, the mind assume it to be one pain, like same flavor all the way through. It's not. It's not. Just like every single inhalation is different than the next inhalation. And every part of the inhalation is different than the part that just was. You can try it now. Inhale if you make an inhalation. There's no part of that inhalation that is the same all the way through the inhalation. The same with the exhalation. You can do that now. You exhale. There's no part of that exhalation being the same all the way through the exhalation, because nothing stays the same ever. Ever. Everything is changing all the time. And if you bang your toe, and you really have awareness in the joy of experiencing, you're gonna experience that the pain in the toe is changing all the time. Then it might be sharp, then it might be more rounded, then it's up to the knee, then it's in the stomach, you get nauseated, then it's moving around all the time. That can be joyous. I'm not talking about pain being joyous. I'm not in sadomasochism or any of that. It's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about the assumptions that you have of something being in a certain way, like banging your toe, that's painful, don't want to do it. I have a preference for not banging my toe. That's an assumption, because banging your toe and having a focus on the joy of experiencing might be what is needed for you to become awake. Who are we to know? Who are you to know? You can never have a preference towards anything. Because if you have a preference, then you're removing you from the opposite. First of all, you're putting it into a dualism, and you're removing it to the opportunity that is the experience. I'm not saying that you should go and bang your toe on purpose right now. I'm not saying that you should do, silly things just to experience it. Well, you can do, it's still silly. You don't even have to. You can sit and look into a wall, for 9 years and have a completely different experience every single second. Because that is the awareness, And the joy of experiencing is there all the time. You're just not aware of it. You're not focusing on it. It's there anyway. And you can point your awareness and your attention towards that. So no matter what is happening, no matter who is cutting in front of you in traffic or stealing your cucumber from your cart or arguing with you, commenting, using a wrong pronoun, whatever's happening, I'm not saying that anything is right or wrong. Please understand, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you pulling yourself up from the assumption and the locked into ego-ness that is happening. And then you have a joy of experiencing. So you find out how the experience is constantly changing. It's also why I remember when I gave the assignment with not having any screen time for 6 months. If you choose to do that, then you can actively work with the joy of experiencing, because just sitting and being, and being present with what is, there is a joy of experiencing in every single second, and everything is changing all the time. Life is so full, of experiences, and we're just not aware. It is so beautiful, and it is so magnificent what is unfolding, that the joy of experiencing is really putting you in awe of what is happening. And the thing with joy of experiencing is also that when there's no longer any judge into something being good or bad, so a headache is not a bad thing. A breakup is not a bad thing. Death sentence, a diagnosis, infertility is not a bad thing. When it feels like a bad thing, then we have an insight into assumption and into identification. And when you focus on the joy of experience, then you will see that there's only experience happening. There's no good or bad things happening, there's just experiences. And the joy of experience is always there, even when it's unpleasant. Then the joy of experience is still there. The experience can still be joyful, even though it's a very unpleasant experience.